Welcome to Man at the Tap, a podcast from Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we call the daily Bible reading our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. It is Friday, June the 6th, 2025, the seventh and last week of the season of Easter. The lectionary reading today continues the letter the Apostle Paul wrote to the Christian community in Galatia, a region in north central modern day Turkey. There had been serious misunderstandings taking place in the community that was comprised of Jews and Gentiles. Some Jewish teachers were falsely telling the Gentile men that circumcision was a necessity for them to be part of the community. Paul warned the Gentile men that they were not obliged to obey that particular law of the Old Testament. He also knew from his own experience that following the rules and regulations of the Old Testament often resulted in jealousy, anger, quarreling, provoking, and envying each other in the community. Paul called this behavior desires of self indulgence. However, there was a law in the Old Testament that both Jews and Gentiles needed to obey, and it is still appropriate to the present time. It is the law of love. Paul quoted the words from Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. You are to love your neighbor as yourself. The law of love can only be lived through the transforming power of God's Spirit, and it is expressed through our faith. We are called, excuse me, we are called to resist the behaviors of self-indulgence and instead live in relationship with each other through the singular fruit of the Spirit, love. Today's lectionary reading is Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 to 10, as Paul continues to expand his instructions on living life in relationship with each other in community. When a sinful action overcomes a community member, Paul advised the community to forgive the person in a spirit of gentleness, helping them back onto the right path and being aware of their own weakness to be overtaken by the same temptation. The Galatians lived in a farming community, and Paul used the metaphor of sowing and reaping to help them self evaluate. He warned them not to deceive themselves or even try to trick God or anyone else about how they were living. You are either sowing to please your self indulgence or you are sowing to please the Spirit. The proof is seen at harvest time. The way one lives has consequences, and Paul reminded the community that it is easy to give up, give in, and become weary of doing good. But we are not to lose heart. The community had been set free from the consequences of death and sin so that they could live an abundant life in and through the Spirit that gives us the power to overcome our self indulgences. Paul encouraged the community to plant the fruit of the Spirit, love, and they would reap eternal life. You harvest what you plant.